Alrighty, here we are. Portable update says everything is ready. It says there's 2 updates, and that's not exactly true. It says Windows Search 4.0, which I don't want, and this driver download for sound. But if I go over to download, there's nothing to download. So it's finding a misnomer? That's not the right word. But it's finding something that doesn't need to be done. So anyway, that's all good. And to avoid trouble in the future, I'm going to take this port up folder, which is now a total of 5.21 gig, and I'm going to move that over to the flash drive that I have plugged in, which has my applications on it. So we'll go ahead and paste that. Yes, USB 1, but it's what the machine has. And it says it'll only take 137 minutes, which of course will change. Now it's down to 125, and it'll go back up and down a million times. But we're going to go into the drive. Actually, we're not. I know that's drive E, and we're going to go ahead and start the application installation. I'm going to go to a command line, and we're going to go to drive E, and we're going to type app inst, which is a batch file I made, if I could type it right, batch file I made to install all of my applications. Some of these are deprecated or don't work under Windows XP. Some I will want, some I won't want. So any of the ones I don't want, I'll just cancel the install, and that'll be it. We'll hit enter. And now we're going to install Adobe Acrobat 11. This is going to take a while for it to load, especially with that data transfer going on. It says extracting installation files, 0.34%. Yeah, it'll do it. It'll just take a while. So Adobe Reader 11 has been installed. The reason I use 11, they went to non-numbered versions after this, if I recall, and I didn't like them, and 11 works fine, and it definitely runs under XP. So that's what I install on my machines. Of course, Google Chrome can open a PDF, no problem. There used to be an update for Adobe Acrobat. I don't know if it's available any longer, so we're going to discover that in a moment. Now it's going to try to install Flash Player, but it says that it's not the most current one, and screw off, and Flash is dead anyway, so we'll just quit that. Next is Adobe Shockwave, and there's very, very few sites that still use that, but they are around, and it's there, so we'll let that do its thing. While that's launching, I'm going to load up Adobe Acrobat and see if it will search for the update, or if it'll just tell us that this product is no longer supported and screw off. So we'll have to see what's going to happen with that. That's still loading, and it just goes right into the install without any fanfare at all. Our data transfer is still happening. Now it says 127 minutes, and that goes up and down depending on disk access on the flash drive, I should say. So here is Adobe Acrobat. We'll accept, because you kind of have to. Accept again. And we'll hit help. Check for updates. We'll come back to that. We can actually close Adobe Acrobat now. And we'll get back to that. Oh, okay, here. Oh yeah, look. Download. So apparently you could still get it. We don't need the free Google toolbar. That's garbage. We'll hit next, we'll hit close. And now what's it going to install? Audio Catalyst. A lot of these are ancient 16-bit programs that won't even run under a 64-bit OS, but they do run under 32-bit operating systems. And it's exceedingly rare that I actually install these things or run these programs. Used to use them a lot more back in the day, probably back in the Windows 98 days. But they're just here. They're tiny programs, a lot of these. Some of these are even Windows 3.1 programs. Really ancient stuff. So we can close that. Next is Audio Grabber, which is a sort of similar program that works a little differently. And that actually installs right to the root of the hard drive for whatever reason. We'll finish that, and it creates an icon on the desktop that I don't want. So we'll get rid of that. And empty that. And this is Brother P-Touch editor software. Going to take friggin' forever to install. I think this is the last version that runs under Windows XP. I have a Brother label printer, P-Touch label printer that hooks up USB and is on the network that I need to actually look at because it's been turned off for some time, and I don't know if the plug fell out or what, but I installed the software and that's that. So we'll let this go. The update for Adobe Acrobat came in, so that's installing, and what has come up is burnerware, but this does not have a CD burner on it, so I'm not going to install that. Next is Catnip, which is a program that worked with the old Radio Shack Digital Convergence QCats that I had around. I got a bag of them somewhere. There used to be one right around here. I don't know where it is now, but it was around. And it just unzips, and I have it automatically copy the stuff it needs. Here's a great little program called Cleanup by Stephen Gold. Normally you should not run multiple installations at the same time, but these little nothing programs like this aren't a problem. You could see the lack of RAM as it did that. CPIC is another ancient one. You know, some of these create their own program manager folders, so to speak. CPIC I just install. I've used it a couple of times. It installs quick. I don't associate any files with it. Okay, it's done. We'll exit installation and close that. Now is the American Heritage Dictionary. This is a Windows 3.1 program. It went through 3.1. It went through Windows 95. It went through Windows 98. It went through Windows 2000. It went through Windows ME. And here it is running under XP. And it will still run under 7. But being that it's a 16-bit application, it simply will not run under a 64-bit environment, which kind of sucks because I use this dictionary a lot because it loads up very quickly and most often has a word in there that I just want to double check the definition on or something. You can see the Adobe Acrobat is still trying to update. Still copying 114 minutes now. It was down to 92. And this dictionary thing ought to run sometime today. That would actually be nice. So I'm still waiting for the dictionary program, and something tells me it's not going to launch. I don't know why. It's always been finicky. It worked great under 3.1, but ever since then, not really, because it wasn't really designed for it. But here's the port up folder that I'm moving to the flash drive. And that's down to 4.3 gig from 5 point something. So we've already transferred a full gigabyte worth of data. How long this has been going, I don't know, because Windows can't tell time. Yeah, this is a problem now, because it's not running. So I may need to reboot. But now I'm left with sort of a peculiar problem, because I can't rerun the installer from that point on, so I have to actually go and edit the batch file. So we'll see if we can close that. What if I hit cancel? Okay, it canceled it. So I'm going to go through my computer and here it is. We'll right click, edit, and we're going to go all the way down to right after dictionary. Delete all of that, and now we'll save it. And I have other copies of this file. Close that, and we'll run app install again. Oh, that's not good. I screwed up. Let's edit that again. I left an extra line in the batch file and didn't want to do that. So we'll edit that again. That's what I wanted to take out. And in fact, I'm not even going to bother with DivX because I don't use that anymore. So we'll take all of that out, save it. It used to be so easy back in the day when shit actually just ran. Oh, look who's here. The American Heritage Dictionary. Ain't that something? All right, let's see if it's going to work, because a lot of times it doesn't. Now we'll hit custom, continue, and now it asks for your name, even though we entered that when installing Windows. Windows 3.1 programs had this. I don't know if it was a global change or what. And we're going to change that E to drive C. For whatever reason, it wants to go ahead and install on the other thing. This had some sort of plug-in catch for these popular word processors back in the day. And it actually discovered Microsoft Word because I installed that before. But obviously it doesn't work with that. I just checked these off for fun because I do have WordPerfect for Windows, which will come at the end. And yes, it is installing. So while we're waiting for that to go, we'll run app install again. And yes, the Dymo label software, because I have Dymo printers. But that can possibly conflict with the dictionary thing. It also is full screen. You see, you don't even have the taskbar. So, yeah, it's definitely an adventure getting all this crap installed. Dymo takes a while to install, and then there's yet another version that's going to install after that. But I'll just show you the dictionary, which will throw an error when it's done. There it is. It says, an error has occurred in your application. If you choose ignore, you should save your work in a new file. If you choose close, your application will terminate. Close, and problem in D shell caused a general protection fault. Ever see that under Windows XP? Yeah, it exists. And we're going to go ahead and run the dictionary. And that's how fast it is. That is exactly how fast it takes to load that up. You can't go to Google and type in dictionary.com and get that web page up to then type in your word. that fast. And back in the day, I actually set it up with like a Control-Alt-D shortcut key, so I could just hit that and bam, there it was. And this word of the day thing always starts on subtlety, but I turned that off, and now it's off, and I close that, and close that, and now I will install the Dymo softwares. Next up is graph paper printer. Lets you print a sheet of graph paper. This is a program done by somebody who is French, Dr. Philippe Marquis. Setup okay. Yes. We'll hit OK, it launches, and you can change stuff, and then print it, and that's all happy horseshit right there. Image burn is next, and that shouldn't take very long to launch, but I'm not going to install it because there's no burner on this machine. You want to exit? Yes, I do. Image resizer power toy for Windows XP. This will run. It will not run on anything higher than XP. But it works well in here. I have another program that does a similar thing, but you have to type in the resolution you want manually, whereas this one has a couple of presets in there. And even if you set the resolution exactly the same on both programs, this one yields a smaller file. It's going to go and try to install the other version of it, which I usually just let it do. It's called Image Resizer Clone. I think it relies on the .NET framework, which theoretically should be installed at this point. So we'll just hit agree, install, and let that do its thing. I don't think it takes very long. Yeah, see, that wasn't bad at all. And we're still copying files. It jumped to 108 minutes because, oh, that's nice. Can't launch ISOBuster. Well, that's all right because I'm not really going to be using it on here. And Java. Oh, wonderful. That doesn't run on Windows XP, so pretty much we're just going to have to wait for it to load the installer and then hit cancel. Here's another old Windows 3.1 program called JACS Media Center. JACS also made PaintShop Pro, which we'll be installing later. But this was just a fun program they had that let you view media and that. And again, I keep it around for no reason. And just like the dictionary program, it also didn't want to launch from the thing, so I had to go and edit the batch file and close that. See, Program Manager back in the 3.1 days. So that's it. You want to run it now? No. That's done. I've edited the file already. And now it's going to launch yet another Windows 3.1 program, which probably isn't going to launch. So yeah, it would have been open by now, so we'll hit that, cancel, and hopefully that will come up. I have no idea why the Windows 3.1 programs are not cooperating with the install. This never actually has happened before. But there's nothing that I can do about it right now because of this data transfer that's going on. So I'm just pretty much stuck, and I'll install them manually later if I have to.